Good afternoon all. This is the Ryobi R18HG heat gun, 18 volt, powered by a battery. Now I use this primarily for off-grid heat shrinking and it's very good. It was about £75 or thereabouts, and that's without the battery. And this is the Parkside PHLGA 20-LIA1. Also a cordless heat gun. Again, comes without a battery, but you can buy the battery for it. This one's a 4 amp hour. Now this was only £15, and of course the batteries are so much cheaper as well in the Parkside range. So if you include the heat gun and the battery, this is probably about 5 or 6 times cheaper. So is it any good? Does it compare with the Ryobi? Well, let's find out. I'm going to do some heat shrinking. Now the Ryobi comes with 2 attachment nozzles. I use this sort of reflecting folded back nozzle for heat shrinking, and it's just sort of, well, you have to release that security catch, but it's just press and go. There's only one setting on the Ryobi. The Parkside comes with 3 nozzles in total. It also comes with this sort of handle and a triangular scraper thing for scraping wallpaper, I presume. But interestingly, this one has got 3 heat settings: high, medium and cold. Why you'd want cold with such a puny blower, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is that you run it for 10 seconds after you've used it to cool it down. Now if you run the Ryobi, and that's got 4 bars on the battery, run it and then look at the battery, that's showing 3 bars, so it's obviously pulling a fair bit of current. Let's do the same on the Parkside. So on this one we've got 3 bars on there. Let's run it. That's still showing 3 bars, but of course that's on the half heat. Let's put it on the high heat, and that's showing only 1 bar. Of course, if you put it on cold, the pitch goes up and there's no load or very little on the battery. Anyway, I'm going to do a very unscientific test. I'm going to make up some of these black and red cables. You can see I use them to link the junction boxes for my workshop lighting. So I'm just going to make up some of these cables in various different lengths, and for that I'm going to use these these are crimp ones, but I take the crimp piece off first, and then I'll use some heat shrink sleeving once I've soldered that on. So let's get started. So I'll start with a 18-inch length. That's 18 inches on my inch spaced LED flashing light measuring board. So let's tin these 2 wire ends. That one, that's the negative, and that one, that's the positive. And now, oh, I must put the heat shrink on these before I solder them onto the terminals. Okay, soldering the negative one on. That's good. And soldering the positive one on, like that. Okay, ready to slip the heat shrink on and start off-grid heat shrinking. Okay, so first the Ryobi, which I know, and it works fine. That's the negative, and let's do the positive. And yeah, that makes a nice job of heat shrinking that end. I'll solder the terminals onto the other end, and then I'll use the Parkside. Okay, now the Parkside, which I've actually never used. I'm going to use it on the half heat setting. Let's try that. Oh yeah, that is going. It's possibly a little bit, let's move that out. Possibly a little bit slower than the, oh, it's very hot actually. Yeah, that's getting well hot. Just give it a bit more on that, because I think it took a bit of time to warm up. But that's on its half heat. And yeah, that's done a very excellent job for about a fifth of the price. So you can't complain. Might try using the high heat now. And now using the Parkside Lidl heat gun on the high heat setting. Yeah, that's on the high heat setting. Oh, that's really fast actually. Yeah, that's really quick. I would say that this thing on its high heat setting is hotter and faster than the Ryobi, and this thing on its low heat setting is actually a bit slower and less powerful than the Ryobi. Now, if you want to keep your batteries in good condition, it probably is best not to pull so much current that this thing shows that it's virtually empty. So I think I'd probably operate this on the low heat setting. I still have the other end of this to do, so let's just do that. Now, of course, this thing is already warm, so it'll be a bit quicker this time. Oh yeah, it is quicker. So yes, if you're doing lots of these, one after the other, the low heat setting is absolutely fine. If you're just doing a one-off and you're in a bit of a hurry, then I guess the high heat setting, don't want to melt all the plastic there, might be better, but that's perfectly acceptable. And for, I don't know, a quarter, a fifth, or even a sixth, if you include the cost of the battery, of the price of the Ryobi, well, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? So there we are. I made up my two of my terminal cables, one 18-inch, one 17-inch, just because I might need them. And using the Ryobi, £75 I think, plus about £75 for the battery, so £150 for that. And this, £15 for the heat gun and £25 I think for the 4 amp hour battery, so 40 quid for that. So yes, about a quarter of the price, and it's just as good. It has more nozzles and it has 2 heat settings. So you can make your own mind up about that. Cheerio!